Most people think Jacksonville grows out, not up. But take one drive past the Shipyards and you'll realize that story just changed. In the next 18 months, this city is getting a luxury waterfront tower, a $300 million University of Florida grad campus, and downtown's first real grocery stores, all already in motion. So if you live in Nocatee, Ortega, or maybe even Rivertown and think this doesn't affect you, it already does. Because whether it's commute time, buyer demand, or where your kids want to live next. And if you're thinking about moving to Jacksonville, these aren't nice to know changes. They're non-negotiables because they're about to reshape how, where, and why people live. These aren't dreams. These are funded, approved, some already rising out of the ground. And today, I'm breaking down the 16 real estate developments that aren't just changing Jacksonville's skyline, they're changing the story. Jacksonville's future isn't showing up all at once. It's sneaking in. A waterfront tower here, a skyline crane there, a full grocery store where a dead block used to be. One day it's an empty lot, the next it's got permits, renderings, and a bulldozer parked out front. And these aren't just flashy builds for downtown high-rises. They ripple out to Avondale, St. John's, and even the far ends of Nocatee. So instead of racing through a list of 16 names you'll forget, we're breaking it down into the 8 forces actually shaping Jacksonville's future. Starting with one piece of downtown we've been waiting for forever, the riverfront. The Shipyards have been Jacksonville's longest running inside joke. Sketches of luxury towers on the news, and then nothing but weeds behind chain link fences. But in 2025, that punchline is now dead. Right now, the Four Seasons Hotel and Residences is climbing out of the dirt. It's over a $387 million project backed by the Jaguars ownership group. 176 hotel rooms, 25 condos, a spa, a rooftop restaurant, and a private marina. This is not a rendering. This is not a someday target. This is opening in February of 2027. And it's not standing alone. Next door, One Shipyards Place, 137,000 square feet of Class A office space is already under construction, aiming for April 2026 delivery. Jacksonville hasn't seen new office tower downtown in over 15 years. Now before you say office is dead, here's the twist. This will be the first premium office delivery downtown since 2009, and it's already vertical. The fact that companies want to move into this district tells you the bet isn't just aesthetic, it's economic. Everyone says downtown is for events. But what if it became your actual 9 to 5? 2 blocks away, Riverfront Plaza, where the landing used to sit, is entering phase 1. Expect public parkland, waterfront trails, and cultural space breaking ground in late 2025. Let's rewind for a second though. Remember when the Jacksonville landing came down and no one knew what would replace it? Well, now we have an answer. And if you've driven past Metropolitan Park, forget the patchy grass you remember. Plans call for a full concert venue, food pavilions, and real connection to the Riverwalk, something locals have begged for since the 90s. This isn't park space to check a box. It's an actual reason to come downtown on a Sunday, with a stroller or without one. Here's the part people get wrong. Most people still think of this area as where we tailgate. But when you combine a $387 million luxury hotel, an office tower with thousands of workers, and 2 major parks, a front neighborhood. Think resort meets urban grind. Jacksonville's first year-round entertainment district. And the ripple doesn't stop downtown. If you're selling in Ortega, this is the first time you can say your home is just a couple of minutes from the Four Seasons. And if you're living in Riverside or Springfield, weekday foot traffic is about to double your nightlife options. And even if you're buying in Nocatee or Rivertown, your "I never go downtown" excuse is about to be tested. Because suddenly, downtown has things you'll actually want to come in for. That's how you know this isn't just scattered projects, it's choreography. You have luxury, plus office, plus parks, all designed to flip the North Bank from dead zone to destination. It's not just about what's inside the development, it's about how it transforms everything around it. And if you want to figure out which neighborhoods are about to ride that wave, my team would love to help you map it out and find the spot that's perfect for your lifestyle. Our contact info is on the screen. We want you to reach out to us, and we want to be your local Jacksonville real estate team of choice. And if this is what anchors the riverfront, The bigger question is, can downtown finally become livable? That answer starts with something Jacksonville has never pulled off: a full-service grocery store. For decades, Jacksonville has built towers, stadiums, and parks downtown. But here's the embarrassing truth. You couldn't buy a loaf of bread without getting in your car and driving miles out. That gap is about to close, and honestly, it's of the change that could matter more than any high-rise. Pearl Square is 3 blocks of momentum. Block N11 broke ground in late 2024 with 205 apartments and ground floor retail. N4 followed in May 2025 with another 286 units and storefronts. And N7, now in review, could add 250 more apartments plus something downtown has never had: a 32,000 square foot full-service grocery store. Stack those up and you're looking at nearly 500 new homes and over 40,000 square feet of retail already moving dirt. This isn't just future growth. It's infrastructure for everyday life. And here's the kicker most people miss. Most cities build grocery stores last, after the people show up. Jacksonville's flipping it. We're building the grocery store first, daring the people to follow. And that one move changes the math. A store like this anchors everything: leasing velocity, foot traffic, safety after dark, and whether people actually want to live here full time. And the ripple effect isn't abstract. Springfield finally gets a grocery run on foot. Riverside residents can grab fresh produce on the way home from dinner downtown. And the suburban families in Nocatee, Rivertown, and Silverleaf, the ones who used to say, downtown isn't for us, they start finding excuses to come in. Pair this with one Riverside's planned grocer and its link to the McCoy's Creek daylighting and Emerald Trail system, and suddenly, you're not just talking about a store, you're talking about a downtown stitched together by food, parks, and walkability. The missing pieces that make a place livable, not just visitable. That's the moment a skyline stops being wallpaper and starts being someone's address. Jacksonville used to swing the wrecking ball like it was a hobby. An old bank? Level it. Vacant hotel? Tear it down. Downtown felt more like a graveyard of missed chances than a neighborhood. But here's the twist. The buildings we almost erased are now the ones saving downtown faster than any new tower. Take the Independent Life building. Once an empty building with busted windows. Soon, it'll be 140 apartments, a 21,000 square foot grocery, and a rooftop restaurant with the kind of skyline people used to leave Jacksonville to find. Or the Ambassador Hotel. For decades, it was just a boarded up hulk you'd speed past on your way to Riverside. Now, it's being restored into a 105-key boutique. With cracked plaster and neon will finally glow again. The kind of place locals will actually show off and not apologize for. And then there's the Central National Bank project. Instead of flattening it, developers are wrapping a new 8-story apartment building around the historic facade. Think about that. Somebody's living room will literally stare into a century-old marble vault. That's not just reuse. That's storytelling you can live inside. And here's the part most people get wrong. They think downtown transformation only happens when a crane swings, but adaptive reuse flips the lights on years faster. No waiting for financing on a 40-story glass tower. It's the fastest way to fill in the gaps, to bring the people and life and cash flow back into the core. And the ripple? This isn't about shaving 5 minutes off your commute. It's about character, about making sure Jacksonville doesn't turn into anywhere USA. These projects bring texture, quirks, and reasons to linger, the things that make a city unforgettable. If the Shipyards are Jacksonville's future, adaptive reuse is its soul. And the city that once bulldozed its past is now betting its comeback on keeping it alive. Most people think car-optional living is something you fly into New York or hop in a train to DC for, but Jacksonville just pulled it off on the South Bank. Ortega opened in March 2025 with 340 units right at the Kings Avenue Skyway hub. For years, the South Bank was where projects went to die. Sketches, proposal, empty promises. But Ortega changed the playbook. Transit at your door, restaurants within a block, and no need to crank the ignition every time you want to grab dinner. It's Jacksonville's first real transit-orientated development. And it's not a theory, it's already leasing up. And it's not alone. One Riverside on the site of the Old Times Union building is layering apartments with a full-service grocer and daylighted McCoy's Creek. tying directly into the Emerald Trail. It's not just a project, it's the backbone of a lifestyle. Walkable greenways, daily food access, a shot at making downtown livable instead of just lookable. Meanwhile, adaptive reuse is adding speed and character the ground-up towers can't match. The Independent Life building is becoming 140 apartments with a rooftop restaurant and a grocery on the first floor. Central National Bank, long a gorgeous but hollow shell, is being reborn as 36 units inside the historic building, plus 103 more in a new 8-story addition. And the Ambassador Hotel is finally shaking off the dust with 105 key restoration that brings life to a long vacant landmark. Most people think historic rehabs are vanity projects, feel-good photo ops that don't move the needle. But in Jacksonville, they're accelerating delivery faster than new construction can pour a foundation. They're bringing rooftops, restaurants, and retail online in months instead of years, and stitching identity back into the blocks around them. And that's where this section connects to everything else we've talked about. Anchors make headlines, but adaptive reuse and TOD are what make the city usable. They bring students, workers, and residents out onto the street all hours of the week. They patch the holes in downtown's teeth with real life. Think about it. The South Bank was silent for a decade. Now it's got Ortega humming, related group teeing up a 25-story tower and a skyway stop that actually delivers people into the neighborhood. Pair that with One Riverside's trail connection and Independent Life's grocery, and suddenly Jacksonville isn't waiting for momentum, it's living it. And here's the shift that most people will miss. This isn't just about saving old buildings or filling empty lots. It's about turning what was once a drive-through downtown into a live-in downtown. That's not just a skyline upgrade, that's a Jacksonville rewriting its lifestyle. We've been talking about projects that bring downtown to life in ways Jacksonville has never seen before, but I'm curious, if you had to choose, would you rather live in a brand new high-rise tower with every modern amenity, or in a historic building that's been reimagined for today? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to see where Jacksonville's vibe really leans. Most people think college campuses are something you build outside the city. Sprawling lawns, football fields, and a long drive from downtown. But Jacksonville just broke that cycle. The University of Florida is planting a $300 million graduate campus right in La Villa. 20 acres backed by the city, state, and private partners, with classrooms targeted to open as soon as fall 2025. And this isn't just another satellite center. This is the Florida Semiconductor Institute anchoring itself downtown, a research hub designed to pull in new industries, new jobs, and thousands of students who will actually live, eat, and breathe in the urban core. For decades, people said downtown Jacksonville cleared out by 5 p.m. Now picture thousands of grad students spilling out of class at 8 p.m., grabbing tacos in Brooklyn, catching a show at the Florida Theater, or biking the Emerald Trail back to their apartment. That's not hype, that's happening. Most people think economic development means a shiny new tower or a new stadium. The part no one expects is this. UF is something else entirely. Towers attract attention. Universities change trajectories. They seed entire industries, spin off startups, and create demand for housing and culture that lasts for generations. And the place that makes life actually work? For a city like Jacksonville, this isn't just growth, it's legitimacy. When the flagship University of Florida puts a stake in your downtown, it tells the world, this city isn't waiting for the future to arrive, it's building it now. And the ripples don't stop in La Villa. Brooklyn's restaurants just got a built-in lunch rush. Springfield's Reynolds, suddenly in higher demand. And even San Marco feels it as grad students and researchers choose shorter commutes over suburban drives. What was once a 9-to-5 ghost town becomes a 24-hour ecosystem. Classes by day, concerts and cafes by night. That's not just a win for downtown. That's a once-in-a-generation pivot. The kind of shift that changes not just where people live, but why they choose Jacksonville in the first place. Most people think Jacksonville's big projects are all about towers and stadiums, but the piece that makes life actually work, it's this trail. The Emerald Trail isn't a sketch on paper anymore. It's a 30-mile greenway weaving through the core of the city. Segments are already open, like the S-line in Springfield. Others are designed to connect Riverside and San Marco in the sports district into one continuous loop. By 2026, you'll be able to bike from McCoy's Creek to the St. Johns River without dodging traffic. Think about what that does when you stack it next to the developments we've already talked about. One Riverside ties its apartments directly into the trail system. Pearl Square sits a block from the planned links. The UF grad campus will have students walking and biking it daily. Trails don't just connect parks, they connect value. Most people underestimate what happens when you leave your house and hit a safe, shaded path instead of a 6-lane road. Suddenly, downtown stops being a place you drive to and starts being a place you flow through. And if the impact is sticky, higher absorption for apartments, higher premiums for retail, and higher livability for scores for everyone. And here's the part no one expects. Trails change culture. They turn a random Sunday into a bike ride with friends, a date into a detour, a dog walk into an exploration. They make the city feel smaller, closer, more livable. That's not hype, that's happening. And this isn't a nice to have amenity. It's the infrastructure that ties every other project together. The Four Seasons gets guests out walking. Pearl Square's grocery gets casual shoppers on bikes. Riverside families get weekend loops without loading the car. And La Villa finally gets a direct walkable line into the rest of downtown. Stack all that up and you realize the Emerald Trail isn't background. It's the bloodstream of Jacksonville's next chapter. And if you're feeling the energy of what's happening here in Jacksonville, hit that hype button. It's the easiest way to push this story out to more people, and it tells me you want more deep dives like this one. Most people think skylines are just pretty pictures, but here's the truth. A skyline is a city's resume. It's the shot on postcards, the backdrop on LinkedIn announcements, and the first impression that tells the world whether you're a someday city or you're a right now city. And Jacksonville? For decades, ours said potential, a few towers here, a bridge lit up over there, but nothing that made you stop and say, this city has arrived. Well, that's changing. Take the related group's South Bank Tower, 25 stories of residential on the old River City Brewing site. After years of false starts, it's finally approved and moving forward. And that matters because in Miami or Tampa, towers are just glass. In Jacksonville, every new tower carries grit. The years of delays, the whispers it wouldn't happen, the neighbors who thought downtown would always be hollow. When steel finally rises here, it feels like a win earned the hard way. That's the kind of signal that flips an entire waterfront. And here's the ripple. South Bank Towers don't just raise the skylines. They raise nearby values in Ortega and San Marco, where homeowners suddenly find themselves 5 minutes from a skyline that looks like it belongs in a magazine cover. And then there's the Independent Life building. For years it stood as a hollow landmark, a what could be. Now it's become 140 apartments, a rooftop restaurant, and even a grocery store at street level. That's not just a save. That's speed and character you can't pour from scratch. And here's the kicker. Springfield feels it first. When a historic tower downtown lights up with residents again, it pushes energy into the street that already walk, suddenly making nightlife and dining within reach on a Tuesday night. In the Ambassador Hotel, for decades it sat dark and empty. Now Gateway Jacks and Indigo Road are restoring it into a 105-key boutique, which means downtown skyline isn't just getting taller, it's getting texture. And the ripple is cultural. Riverside and Avondale residents finally get a reason to tell friends, let's do a night downtown. Because there's a landmark hotel glowing again that feels like a destination, not an afterthought. Let me bring this a little closer to home. Last year I had clients moving from Chicago. They wanted city living, walkable, historic, a little gritty, but with culture. We ended up in Riverside, which they love. But I'll be honest, they were disappointed that downtown didn't have the residential options they'd hoped for. If they'd been buying in 2026, with Independent Life open, with the South Bank Tower rising, with the Ambassador glowing again, they wouldn't have had to settle. And that's the pivot for today's buyers. You no longer have to make excuses for downtown Jacksonville. It's finally catching up to what people expect in a major city. Most people think economic development is about jobs and tax rolls, but skyline projects, they're about identity. They say to your kids leaving for college, this is a city worth coming back to. They're the silent pitch deck every CEO sees when they're playing banks over the river. Most people think skylines impress outsiders. The twist? They're really built for insiders. The people choosing whether to put down roots, open a business, or come back after college. A skyline isn't built for a postcard. It's built for the people who decide to stay. Jacksonville's skyline is finally shifting from wallpaper to spotlight. And when the lights of the Ambassador glow again, a 25-story South Bank tower, it won't just feel like new buildings. It'll feel like Jacksonville declaring we belong in the big leagues. Most people think skyline growth is about glass and height, but here's the part no one expects. It's about identity. Each of these projects, Related Groups Tower, Ortega, and Independent Life, adds a piece of texture that make downtown not just taller, but fuller. And that fullness ripples out into where people eat, how they commute, and where they see downtown as a place to visit or a place to live. And here's the ripple the suburbs won't see coming. Families in Nocatee or Rivertown used to talk about downtown like it was someone else's problem. But when your skyline starts to look less like Almost There and more like Miami's, polished, recognizable, a point of pride, suddenly it becomes your city's living room. It's where you take friends when they visit, where you spend Saturday nights instead of driving 2 hours south. That's the moment Jacksonville stops apologizing for the downtown and starts bragging about it. Most people think wild cards are pie-in-the-sky ideas, something you talk about over coffee but you never actually see. But Jacksonville's wild cards, they're signed, funded, and in some cases already under construction. Take Pearl Square's Block N7. Publix has officially signed for a 31,000 square foot supermarket right in the North Core, and the first true downtown grocery store in decades. It won't open until 2028, but the lease is inked, the site is locked, and that alone shifts the trajectory. For residents, that's the difference between wishing and knowing. Then there's La Villa. The University of Florida has planted a $300 million flag, 20 acres for a graduate campus, and the Florida Semiconductor Institute, grounded by city and state funding. It's not just classrooms. It's research, talent pipelines, and thousands of students living, eating, and breathing in the core. And that's the kind of anchor that changes how a city is seen, not just by locals, but by employers and industries scouting their next move. On the health front, Mayo Clinic just opened its 228,000 square foot Duane family building to house the first carbon ion therapy program in the Americas. Treatments are expected to roll out by 2028. Pair that with Baptist MD Anderson's new cell and stem cell program, and you start to see it. Jacksonville isn't just growing taller, it's stepping into a global spotlight in healthcare. And then the connective tissue, the Emerald Trail, a 30-mile loop stitching 14 neighborhoods into the core. Segments are already open, and the Riverside Link is set for construction in 2026. That means one Riverside's residents will be biking to the river without dodging traffic. Pearl Square's tenants will walk a block to join the loop, and UF's grad students will use it daily. Trails don't just connect parks, they connect value. Culture's not left behind either. The Armory, a long dormant landmark, is finally moving forward as a food and arts hub at 851 North Market Street. That means Springfield and downtown stop feeling like neighbors and start feeling like one continuous district, with nightlife, music, and events beyond the riverfront glow. This isn't speculation. Publix is signed, UF is funded, Mayo is open. The trail's breaking ground, the Armory is advancing. These wild cards aren't background noise. They're the spark plugs firing in every direction all at once. And the question for buyers is simple. Do you want to be here before the switch flips or after? Jacksonville isn't just building projects, it's building proof. Proof that this city isn't a someday story anymore. It's a right now city, with towers in the sky, trails on the ground, and anchors in motion that are changing the way people live, work, and invest. Most people think growth means more traffic, more cranes, more noise. But in Jacksonville, growth is finally translating into lifestyle. Groceries you can walk to, trails that connect your weekends, universities that keep talent here, and a skyline that doesn't apologize anymore. Here's the truth. If you've been waiting to see whether Jacksonville's future is real, stop waiting. It's here, it's funded, it's rising. And if you want to make sure that your next move puts you where you belong, in the neighborhoods that are set to benefit most from this wave of growth, my Jacksonville real estate team and I are here to help. We understand the project shaping the city, we know the neighborhoods like the back of our hands, and we'd love to guide you to the home that fits your lifestyle and your future. Our contact info is on the screen. Reach out and let us be your Jacksonville real estate team of choice. Stick around too. Click on the playlist right here and ride shotgun with me through Jacksonville's neighborhoods, one by one, so you can see what this city really feels like to live in. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.